Alright, boys and girls, I hope you did your checkpoint quiz. I hope you discussed it with me, and if we had any problems, that we discuss those problems so that we have good understanding before we go on. If you did, let's move on to 2.5. One of the most important things I say to do when you're doing a problem is estimating. That way we know if our quotient is close. So we're going to learn how to estimate with division. And if we look at it, how can you make comparable numbers? So I think we need to look at what comparable numbers means. And if you look in your journal, so let's open our journals, please, to comparable numbers. I have comparable numbers here, and it says numbers that are easily to compute with mentally. So those, when we're looking at that, we use like a comparable number to 57 times 12. Comparable numbers to that is rounding to 60 times 10, because 10 is comparable to 12, but it makes it easier to. So these are the comparable numbers to those two. If I'm dividing, a comparable number would be like if I had 2,732 divided by 40. A comparable number for this would be, I would look at it and I would just look at these first two and I would say, ooh, 4 goes into what that's close to 27. Goes into 28. So I make 2,732. A comparable number is 2,800 divided by 4, because I can do that in my head. And I get a number of 4 divided by 28 is 7, and then times 10 times 10, times 10, because I'm doing 40. On the side, I want to do a little quick trick with division. So if I'm doing 480 divided by 40, if I look at this division problem, I know that I'm looking in my ones. If I have what I do to this side, if I can do the same thing, if I have the same thing on this side, that I can cross them out and don't have to worry about them. So as what I mean is I have a 0 here, I can cross that out and cross that out. So as what I'm really dividing is 48 by 4. If I would have 326 divided by 60, can I do it here? Do I have a 0 in the ones column? No, I don't. So I have to leave that 0 there. If I did 390 divided by 40, can I do it here? Yes, because I have a 0 in the ones place and I have a 0 in the ones place. Now all I have to do is divide 39 by 4. It's just going to make your estimating a lot easier and your division a whole lot easier. So I'll keep talking about this. Maybe it will stick. So we went back to what is a comparable number? A number that makes it a lot easier to divide. I hope you wrote some examples. Even if you wrote some easier examples and did 23 divided by 3, a comparable number here would be 30 divided by 3, because 30 is easy to divide by 3. Yes, you need to know your facts. So let's go back to the page, and it says you can estimate quotients using comparable numbers that are found by using basic facts and patterns. You have to know your facts. So if I look here, 35 divided by 5 equals 7. That's the basic fact of doing this huge problem of 35,000 divided by 50 equals 700. But I could start with my basic fact. So if the observation deck of the Wheels Tower in Chicago, Illinois is 1,353 feet above ground, Elevators lift visitors into the level in 60 seconds. About how many feet does the elevator travel per second? So here would be our equation. 1,353 divided by 60. Here's my dividend. Here's my divisor. So I use a set of numbers. So I look kind of look here. 6 goes into what? 6 times what makes it easy to 13? Well, 6 times 12. And then I have to add the 2 zeros to make it 1,200. I could easily do that, or I could have went up if I knew. I could have changed this to 18 because 6 goes into 18 3 times. So it just, both ways are going to work. This is going to give me one estimate. So my estimation is going to be in between these two, because here's, I divided it, changed it to a 2. This I changed it to a times 3. So to use patterns and basic facts to help you. So when I look at, first here's my equation. It's pretty easy when I just do a 2, because 12 divided by 6 equals 2. So 120 divided by 60 equals 2. Why? What did I tell you? If I have a 0 on this side and a 0 on this side, I'm crossing those two still out. Here I have 1,200 divided by 60. Well, I'm going to cross this 0 out and this 0 out, but so I'm going to look at 6 divided by 12 first, and I still have a 0, so I have to add that, so my estimate is 20. If I'm doing this one, I have 18 divided by 6 is my basic fact. You see I have those in fact, and that I know is 3. So if I would do 1,800 divided by 60, ooh, can I still cross out those 2 zeros? Yep, I have one on this side and one on this side. So guess what? It's still going to be 3. So if I have 18,000 divided by 60, I'm going to once again cross out those 2 zeros. And I have 6 divided by 18 is a 3, but I have a 0 I have to add in the ones column, and I have 30. So the elevator traveled about 20 to 30 feet per second. The most reasonable estimate is, which one's closer? Well, I would say that 20 is closer because 1,200 is closer to 1,300, 1,200 is closer to 1,353 than 1,800. So I think this one is closer because 1,200 is closer to it than 1,800. So my estimate is about 20 feet. So if we move on, it's just practice. I hope you're understanding as we're going. If I look at these, if I estimated numbers, I'm not going to worry about that. So first I want to look at this 650. I'm going to round that back down to 600 because that makes it easy. And I'm going to make 1820. So 600 divided by 20 equals 30. How do I get 30? Well, once again, I have a 0 here, so I'm going to cross it out. I'm going to have a cross out this. 2 divided by 6. 6 divided by 2 equals 3, and I have that extra 0. I could round this up to the next thing that 20 can go into, which would be 800. So that would equal, once again, I'm going to cross out a 0 and cross out a 0 because they're both on one side of the division fact. 8 divided by 2 is 4, and I have another 0, so that's 40. So she spent between $30 and $40. Which do I think is more reasonable? Once again, I look at my estimating, and 600 is closer to 650 than 800. So that is why I think that 30 is closer than 40. So I want you to try this in using comparable numbers. I want you and your partner to do it. And then I want you to see if you came up with the same answer that I did. So I had 415. I'm going to change that to 400 divided by 50. Those are my comparable numbers. And I'm going to cross those two out because I have zeros on each side. Now, 5 divided by 40 equals 8. So my estimate is 8. What else could I do? I could change it to 450 because I know 5 goes into 45. So my new comparable numbers are 450 divided by 5. I'm once again going to cross those out. 45 divided by 5 equals 9. So my estimate is it came in between 8 and 9. That's what they came up with. Do the next one together as a partner. See what you came up with. And then check. I would like you to do 4 and 5 together and then check your answer. And I would like you to make sure you showed your work. Then let's move on to on your own. Once again, I would like you to do, I don't care which one, pick one from this row to do as a partners, one to go from this row as a partner. And so show your work on your paper. Yes, you may check it with these. We're going to the homework page on your own. I would like you to do 3, 7, and 10 on your own. Show your work. I would like you to do 1, 3, 4, 5, and 6, please. On your own, if you have time with your partner, go back and challenge yourself with this page. I love estimating. I think it's fun to get it close to it, and I think it's a habit that we really need to get into.